Hello everybody. How are you doing today or tonight, this evening, this morning, whatever it is. Hope you're doing well. I appreciate you being here. So today what I have in store for you is a comparison video. You know I like doing those by now. This time it's going to be between two Sega Dreamcasts. The first being an OG Sports Edition. So I guess it's not the OG. It came after the OG. The white one, gray one, beige one if you're a smoker. But I've had this one in my possession since it was new. Now the only thing I've done to it, it's not totally unmodified. I got rid of the GD-ROM. And I don't mean that like taking the Lord's name in vain. Like, you GD-ROM! No. Just a disk drive. It's gone, and in its place is an IDE hard drive with some, some goodies on it. But it's still using the standard video output, which is gonna go into a Pound HDMI analog to digital, HDMI converter. So I can run it on my modern TV, and as usual, everything goes through the M Classic and the 4K Gamer Pro to give it that little punch of resolution and color and anti-aliasing and all that stuff. They're good little pieces of hardware, or as you Brits call it, good piece of kit. The challenger to this is this guy. The new kid on the block. This was a regular Dreamcast, the regular shell, that I went and bought this from a bloke in Australia. He sent me this clone case, which, is like the Sports Edition. It's almost the same sheen. It just doesn't have Sega Sports written here. They're close to the same color. You can probably pick up the difference. Maybe, maybe not. I think the Sega one's a little blacker, maybe. What do you guys think? Can you tell? Maybe from that angle, I don't know. I'm trying to look at the screen myself, and on camera they look fairly similar, don't they? But at any rate, so other than having the same color, that's where they differ. Well, that's the only thing they have in common, I should say. So where they do differ is this one has a GD EMU in it. It's got a GD EMU with the little adapter, so I can put the SD card here, and I don't know, the second slots if you have a spare SD card. Why? Got the reset button hooked up to to reset it. Also, if you'll notice, here, blue LEDs, because why not? I know some people say, oh, you did a blue LED. I like blue. And yes, the power LED has been changed out for blue as well. So you can let me hear about it if you want to rag on it. I don't care. It gets better or it gets worse if you hate blue. There's a blue LED here, here, and here. So when the thing's turned on, it's blue, and then if you pop it open, and I'm down here in the man cave, it's usually dark. If I pop it open, I have LEDs to light my way to push the reset button if I need to. So that's not where it ends either. Over here, the silent fan mod, the Noctua fan. So I got that in there with a little 3D printed fan shroud. And I also, on the controller port, did the battery mod, so I can change out the battery when it goes bad. Are we done yet? No, we're not done. It's also got a Dream PSU. So different power supply port, different power supply. Inside of here on the Dream PSU, it does have a little rail of connectors. You got a couple of 5 volts, I think, and a 12 volt. So what did I do? I utilized one of those 5 volt connectors put on a little JT connector and solder that to the LEDs which you see under the lid. So there's powered straight off of the motherboard, off the power supply, I should say, motherboard of the power supply. Are we done yet? No, we're not. The piece de resistance. HDMI, baby. This has the DCDigital HW2, the latest HDMI board, which was a real blast to install. If you're not a good soldering person, it's not the mod for you. I'm adequate, so I got it done. Full disclosure, I actually have the original DCHDMI, which I haven't installed yet. I'm going to put it on another one, but well, that's a little bit of a lie. I tried to install it, but I goofed up on a soldering point on the ribbon cable. So when I was looking for another ribbon cable, I found one. I got another ribbon cable on the way, but I started reading about the DCDigital, the second revision of the DCHDMI, and found out it's got more features. So I said, what the hell? I spent the $220, which is more than a Dreamcast, obviously, and ordered that. So I figured if I'm going to go through the trouble of installing it, let's put in the latest and greatest. So this video is going to be, is it an improvement? Is it better than this going through the Pound converter, the Pound HDMI converter, which is $29.99 on that River company that sells everything under the sun, including your soul to the devil. They sell it for $29.99. You probably find it a little cheaper. People complain about the Pound HDMI and other cheaper alternative HDMI adapters. I personally have not had a problem with it. Saying there's latency. I haven't seen any latency. Does it exist? I guess it's possible. I haven't seen it. These old eyes can't tell. These old fingers can't react quicker than it does, so I'm happy. But the test is, does the image look any better for all the trouble that it takes to put this in? Does the image, is it that much of a boost? So together we are going to find out. I already know the answer, but I'm making this video obviously so you can see what you think. And I'm going to try to be unbiased until the very end. I'm going to keep my opinion to myself, and I'll do a little outro video, and I'll discuss what I think about it. And it may match what you think. It may not. But we'll see. We'll get there in a little bit. So let's jump right on in, shall we? See you at the end of the video.
I'll dance on your grave.
Round one, fight.
1000年早えんだよ
Here I go!
Round 3, fight.
Yeah! Ah! Fire arrow! Mission completed, sir!
All right, so we are back. The verdict is in, I guess. You guys are the jury. What'd you think? Did the DCDigital HW2 live up to the hype? Did it live up to the price tag? Or did you think that the Pound HDMI for $30 with no installation required, just plug and play, do you think that's good enough or even better? I gave you different scenarios. I gave you the Pound HDMI just straight up. Now on my TV, just the Pound HDMI automatically puts it in widescreen mode, but on the capture card, it sends it back to 4:3, that 480p. And my TV, as I've said before, is an LG. It's got the color depth thing to it, whatever, which boosts color. It almost acts like its own little M Classic, I guess. So it anti-aliases and dithers and this, that, and the other, and it does a nice job making everything look better than it should, probably. But on the video capture, it shows it in its raw state. You get to see it, without any assistance. So my opinion is straight up Pound HDMI with no M Classic or 4K Gamer Pro assistance does not look as good as the DCDigital. And I think that's clear to see. But I do think when you put that Pound HDMI together with the M Classic, and then if you want the M Classic on top of that with the 4K Gamer Pro, that Pound HDMI don't look so bad, does it? I mean, I think it looks pretty good. One thing I need to mention is on some of those screen caps, you see me with a menu pulled up for the DCDigital, the on-screen display. And that's where I'm going through and I'm changing from 480p to 1080p. And it does have the ability to go to 1440p, but not through the capture device that I used for this. I've got another one that lets me capture in those resolutions, but I have to color correct the videos, and I just didn't want to do that. It's an Elgato standalone deal, 4K 60S Plus or whatever it's called. I could have caught that in there, but again, this video that I'm shooting, I'm only going to encode it and upload it in 1080p, so it doesn't really matter. I will tell you that when I'm watching those games real time as I play them, the 1440p and the 1220 or whatever the hell it is, they get some like artifacts in them, and you can probably even see that on the 1080p mode on the DCDigital. But they get some almost like scan lines that are in there. It's like, I guess it's too good of a picture. It's showing you the imperfections in those graphics. So maybe the sweet spot is using the Pound HDMI with an M Classic, and maybe that's it. But see, the M Classic's $80, so by the time you buy the Pound HDMI for $30, you got the M Classic for, sometimes on sale for $80, $79. Most times I think it's at $100, $99. You got $130 there. $130 still cheaper than $220, plus your tax or shipping if that's applicable. But then if you want to go the route of the 4K Gamer Pro added to that, you know, those aren't cheap. I think they're what, $170 now. I got mine as a Kickstarter supporter for like $30 cheaper. Wasn't a huge savings, but you know, it helped. So I do think the M Classic with the 4K Gamer Pro on the Pound HDMI puts out a nice screen. It's a nice looking visual. So the determining factor is, what do you think of the DCDigital when paired with those? Does it get any better? Does it get any worse? Now, I saw a video where some guy was talking about the DCDigital, and it may have been the DCHDMI, the first version put out, saying that he believed that the 480p signal on the DCHDMI, DCDigital, whichever, looked better than the 1080p. And he might be right, which is strange, you know, because I guess the 1080p is showing the limits of what those graphics can do when you're brightening it up and, you know, blowing that screen up, so to speak. So in this case, when we're doing the DCDigital and then we put that M Classic on there, we do get a boost in color, that's for sure, but it almost mutes the image, I think, when the 4K Gamer Pro comes into play. And again, I'm running it on its brightest blue setting, so that's the most effects it can get, and it may be too much. What I was going to say a second ago, then forgot, because, you know, I am the graybeard gamer and I have memory lapses apparently. Actually, that's not true. I can remember back when I was, you know, 2 years old. Most people don't. I've got a crazy memory, so tongue in cheek, I just had a senior moment, and I'm not even a senior yet. I just look old. I'm just gray before my time. The DCDigital has an HDR mode, and I shot a video trying to show that, but the video capture device I'm using, which is an AverMedia such and such, whatever it is, doesn't support HDR. So even though I saw the changes on my TV, the capture showed nothing. So I went back and watched, and I was like, well, I did all that for nothing. So I came down and reshot it. And again, if I were to go to the Elgato, it would capture the HDR, and we could do that. But the HDR, in all honesty, my TV did pick it up as HDR. There's two HDR settings on there. There's HLG HDR, and then there's HDR10. And on this game that I was playing, this Marvel versus SNK, or Capcom versus SNK, I keep wanting to say Marvel, but whatever. There's too many of those Marvel and Capcom versus such and such games. Street Fighter versus your mama, just whatever. It gets lost. It's all jumbled up. Too many choices. It's like going to a buffet and they got steak, or they got ribs, or they got shrimp. So you get all three of them. Why not? Shit. Life's short. Enjoy that shrimp and that steak and those ribs. I'm going off the rails, and you're just sitting there watching it. The HDR10 is just kind of too much. It kind of oversaturates the screen and kind of blows it out, just to be perfectly honest. I think on some games it might help, so you just have to experiment with it. The DCDigital does have a smoother on there, smooth filter, but it only runs in, I think, 960 or above, 960p or above, which that 960 is just taking that 480 and doubling it. And coincidentally, that 1080p signal basically is just that 960p stuck in a 1080p frame. That's direct from the horse's mouth. That's what Pixel FX will tell you. So I'm guessing that logic holds true with the 1220 and 1440. I guess they're doing the same. I don't know. So I can't speak on that, but I do know they say the 960 is basically, or the 1080 is the 960 crammed in a different container, different frame, the 1080p frame. So you can't even use that smoothing effect on the 480p, which is sad, because again, I think when you drop down to the 480p, and then put the smooth filter on, I think it looks good. I think it would look good, but it will not let you do that because it won't give you both of those. You got to get up the higher resolution to use that smooth filter. What other cons maybe can I come up with? Obviously the price, and even more so than the price, if you're not like a really good, soldering person, as I said before, this isn't the thing to start on. I've got a technique for it now. Iron settings for my soldering iron. I've got the method, and I'm going to test that method when the other ribbon cable comes in. When I do another one of these Dreamcast, I'm going to put that original DCHDMI in it, and it doesn't have any HDR stuff to it. None of that. It doesn't have anything higher than 1080p. But honestly, those are kind of useless anyway. There's people that dig it, say, "Oh yeah, it does this and that better." Maybe it does. Maybe there's other features I'm overlooking. But the sad thing is the DC HDMI, which I bought a couple years ago originally, just never installed. I bought it then for $140, and that was with shipping from China. Now you get on AliExpress, they're just as much as the HW2, maybe a few bucks cheaper, 10, 15 bucks cheaper. But I bought this DCDigital HW2. You can go to Pixel FX and buy it directly for $200, but they're like out of stock. So I bought it from Stone Age Gamer, which, this is not a plug for them. I get no kickback from them. Maybe I need to call them up and say, "Hey, where's my money?" Be like old dirty bastard. So you better give me that money. I buy so much crap from them. I had these like little bonus bucks, so I was able to save like 20 or 30 bucks off my purchase, which helped. And they ship out fairly quick. I got it like in 5 days, so I'm cool with that. I'm in Georgia, in Metro Atlanta area, and they're in Ohio, so it's not like blazing speed, but I got it like 4 or 5 days, I think. And I'm happy with those guys because they usually got stuff in stock. So that's enough reason to order from them right there, so you don't have to wait on it. I don't want to do pre-order on stuff if I can get it already, you know what I'm saying? So price high, install, we're only up 2. I got him sitting there automatically. Go back. Price high, install tough, time consuming. They do call it an expert level modification. I'd say it is. Would I do it again? Well, I'm going to do it again, but after that, probably not. Probably not going to fool with it, honestly. Showing you my 5 head. It's alright. I got hair here. I don't have any hair. It's alright. I don't need hair there. I don't need hair anywhere, honestly. I don't live out in the jungle. I don't live in the tundra. If I go out in the cold, I just slap on, some more clothes. I'm no Bear Grylls. I'm in air conditioning, man. I'm in a heated house. I'm not roughing it. I guess I could go camping and take a Nintendo Switch with me, couldn't I? That's always a possibility. So at any rate, buy one, don't buy one. For my money, the final result is, I think it's a nice toy to have. I'm not sold on it. I mean, completely. That last video, though, the last screen cap I did, I played 3 rounds. I let that go on a little bit because that level did look good, and that was on the the DCDigital with the M Classic and the 4K Gamer Pro, and that level just has some good colors. So I think a lot of your results are going to vary by what game you're playing and what the levels look like, what the game itself looks like. In a fighting game, you got so many different levels. Some may look great, some may not. But beauty is in the eye of the beer holder. So hopefully this video made you think about if you do want to buy and have that expenditure. If you're not capable of installing you know, a ribbon cable on your motherboard if you're not comfortable doing it. If you don't have the tools to do it, there's mod services around. There's people that will do it for you and charge a reasonable price. I think like $75 maybe is the average. Maybe some people charge twice that. I don't know. I think $75 personally is too cheap to do it. I wouldn't do it for that. But, you know, what do I know? There's probably people that can knock it out quicker than I can. I will tell you, when I did the final result on this HW2, when I got it in with the new ribbon cable, I already had all the case mods done, you know, make way for the new board and all that. I had that ribbon cable on in 10 minutes, and I'm not even joking. Boom, boom, boom. Flux, solder, pow, had my iron rolling where I needed it to. I rocked it out like I was an assembly line, like I've done 1,000 of them. So I think I got it down now, but the rest of it's tedious as well. Just, you know, modifying your case, cutting out the HDMI hole, cutting into your the case a little bit on the bottom. You got to remove a couple things. You got to cut into the bottom shield and the top shield that your motherboard goes in between. You got to cut into those and modify those a little bit. So it was a learning experience. You know, I'm glad I did it. It's, you know, like I said, it's a cool thing to have. At the end of the day, though, Pound on its own, no. Pound with an M Classic and an M Classic 4K Gamer Pro, I'd say that's probably just as good, if not better. I don't know. Again, you decide. There's your information. I've done my part. Now it's on you. See you next time, guys. Thanks for watching as always.